Hello lovely viewers, and welcome back to the Bold and the Beautiful News official YouTube channel. Luna has now received the same protective instinct from the renowned physician who previously rescued her own son Finn in a similar way. Lee's choice to stage Luna's death marks a significant change in character, even in light of the young woman's deadly spree. In the past, Lee had been overtly antagonistic towards Luna, considering her a threat to her son's family. But while Lee fought valiantly to save Luna's life, seeing her close to death on the operating table awoke something deep within of her. During the resuscitation, she called upon Noah's power, which seemed to change her outlook on her distressed grandchild. The deceit itself is similar to what Lee did when she pretended that Finn had died. Lee has now taken Luna away, just as she had taken her son away, who seemed to be dead, to secretly cure him. Lee removed Dr. Bridget Forrester from the recovery room after successfully stabilizing Luna after her operation, stating that she could take care of Luna on her own. Lee took the tragic choice to fake Luna's death at this private time, informing everyone that Luna had passed away due to complications after surgery. The casket was empty, the truth was covered, and the funeral shored. The funeral preparations for Luna Noah have begun, and Lee is the only one responsible for this complex ruse. With the exception of one important aspect that only Lee is aware of, the family and friends-attended ceremony will include all the customary components of a typical funeral. There will be nothing in the casket. The extent to which Lee has gone to shield Luna from the legal system that awaits her is shown by this macabre detail. The funeral itself turns into a comparative analysis. Lee stands among the mourners, seemingly the only one aware of the enormous deception being told, as they assemble to pay their respects to what they perceive to be Luna's corpse. This truth has a lot of weight since Lee has to keep her cool while others mourn someone who is still very much alive. Lee's deceit is powerfully symbolized by the empty coffin, a hollow gesture that conceals the reality below. Attending the funeral with their own complicated feelings on Luna's purported death are Finn, Steffi, and even Sheila. Finn views the funeral as a way to grieve for a daughter he hardly had time to get to know. He hoped to somehow get in touch with Luna and assist her in finding atonement despite her transgressions. Steffi, on the other hand, arrives with mixed emotions, feeling both satisfaction that her family is no longer under danger and regret for what Luna may have turned into in a different situation. Steffi's eerie vision, a hint of reality. Steffi had an incident at the funeral ceremony that will trouble her for weeks to come. She catches what seems to be a brief glimpse of a familiar face amid the mourners, Luna's visage, clearly alive, and observing the events. Steffi is left wondering what she has seen since the vision is fleeting, lasting just a few seconds before the apparition vanishes. As Steffi starts to realize that Luna's death may not be as definitive as everyone thinks, this moment serves as the impetus for all that happens thereafter. When the pastor talks on forgiveness and redemption during a particularly moving part of the service, the vision takes place. Steffi is absorbed in her own reflections about Luna's turbulent life when she abruptly notices movement in her field of view. She turns to see what seems to be Luna's face amid the throng, sporting a look of great delight and wonder at being at her own burial. The stranger briefly looks Steffi in the eye before blending back into the throng and vanishing completely. Steffi's doubts and anxieties spiral out of control after this encounter. She starts to doubt all of her preconceived notions regarding Luna's passing, questioning whether what she saw was genuine or just the result of her own psychological suffering from the previous violent incidents. The fact that no one else seems to have seen the airship adds to the unnerving nature of the situation, causing Steffi to consider the idea that she could be losing her sense of reality. The voice of reason, the soft rejection of Finn. Finn responds to Steffi's unsettling vision in a kind but stern manner. Finn tries to provide Steffi a logical explanation for what she thinks she has seen by using his medical background and his intense love for his wife. He contends that the emotional strain of Luna's burial and the tragic events of the last several weeks have made the ideal environment for hallucinations or false memories to arise. Finn takes a kind and perceptive approach to aiding Steffi. From Luna's first assaults to the violent altercation that finally resulted in the shooting, he understands that his wife has endured a great deal of suffering. He notes that seeing recognizable individuals in crowds is a regular phenomena seen by those who have lost someone important to them, even in violent situations, and that the human mind often produces vivid illusions when coping with tremendous sorrow and suffering. Despite their good intentions, Finn's promises fall short of convincing Steffi. She is troubled by the surety of her vision, and she knows deep down what she saw. As Steffi starts to feel alone in her doubts, this subtly strains the relationship. Despite their rationality, Finn's medical explanations are unable to capture the clarity and intensity of Steffi's experiences during the funeral ceremony. Steffi's increasing paranoia is the psychological cost. After the funeral, Steffi is plagued by mistrust and doubt more and more in the days that follow. A recurrent nightmare that haunts Luna's waking hours and shows up in her nightmares is the vision of her face among the throng. She starts to examine every facet of Luna's purported demise, searching for contradictions or indications that anything is amiss. She begins to become distrustful of everyone around her and hypervigilant as a result of her developing paranoia. Steffi has ongoing anxiety as a result of the psychological effects of thinking she has seen Luna perform live. Persuaded that Luna is observing her from a distance, she starts to leap at shadows. Every sudden noise and movement she spots in her peripheral vision makes her pulse race because she fears her tormentor has returned. As her anxieties cause her to become more and more alone, this condition of hypervigilance starts to negatively impact her relationships with friends and family. The fact that Steffi cannot verify what she thinks she has seen just serves to exacerbate her anxiety. She starts to doubt her own sanity due to the absence of hard proof, which feeds a vicious cycle of uncertainty and anxiety. She starts to question if her capacity to discriminate between fact and illusion has been irreversibly harmed by the pain of recent events. She is almost as terrified of this possibility as she is of Luna's survival. The weight of deceit, Lee's growing burden. As the mastermind behind this complex hoax, Lee deals with her own psychological issues as Steffi struggles with her suspicions. The generally calm doctor suffers from the burden of upholding such a big deception. In order to prevent anybody from learning the truth about Luna's destiny, she must carefully control every contact. Lee must seem to be sad for Luna, while covertly making sure she is safe, which calls for a great deal of mental and emotional strength. Lee's deceit goes beyond only fabricating Luna's demise. She also has to deal with the logistical challenges of concealing Luna while she heals from her wounds. This entails finding a secure site, acquiring medical equipment, and making sure that Luna's existence is totally hidden from the public. Due to the tremendous logistical hurdles of this endeavor, Lee will need to use all of her medical knowledge and ingenuity. Lee's conscience is troubled by the moral ramifications of her behavior. She has broken her duty as a doctor by assisting a confessed killer in evading punishment. However, she is motivated to keep up the deceit by her mother feelings for Luna and her conviction that the young lady needs a second shot at atonement. As she tries to balance her personal beliefs with her professional ethics, this internal conflict puts Lee in a condition of continual strain. The Forrester family is affected by the knock-on consequences. The dynamics of the Forrester family undergo significant alterations as a result of Luna's purported death. Finn is relieved that his family is no longer in danger, but he also has conflicting feelings for the loss of the daughter he hardly knew. Finn feels guilty and confused by this internal conflict, wondering whether he should be celebrating the end of Luna's reign of terror or lamenting her passing. Steffi's relationship with Finn starts to suffer as a result of her increasing concern for Luna's survival. Though well-intentioned, his logical justifications for her alleged hallucinations make Steffi feel more alone and misunderstood. She starts to distance herself from her spouse because she is scared to express her doubts and anxieties for fear of being written off as mentally unstable. At a time when they ought to be helping one another cope with the stress of recent events, this emotional distancing strains their marriage. The complicated legacy of Luna's deeds also affects the larger Forrester family. While Eric muses on the duty of the family to shield one another from such dangers, Rage and Taylor find it difficult to comprehend how someone so young could have turned to such violence. These conversations are further complicated by the fact that Luna was Finn's daughter. Family members are attempting to comprehend the genetic link between a confessed killer and their loved one. The world thinks Luna is dead and buried, but the truth is far different. Under Lee's cautious medical supervision, Luna is recuperating slowly from her gunshot wounds while being hidden away in a secret location. In an unusual situation, the young lady is imprisoned in a jail that Lee created, legally dead but very much alive, and free from the repercussions of her actions. As Lee works to rehabilitate Luna while keeping her concealed from the outside world, this circumstance develops a complicated connection between grandma and granddaughter. Luna is recuperating both mentally and physically. Her mental condition is still impacted by the emotional stress of her previous experiences, even as Lee's skilled treatment helps her bullet wounds heal. She finds it difficult to accept the truth of her circumstances. Resentful of her imprisonment, yet thankful to be alive. Although Luna accepts that Lee has saved her life, she resents the limitations put on her independence, which strains their relationship. Luna's situation's solitude offers a chance for in-depth reflection and maybe atonement. Luna starts to face the truth of her acts and their repercussions after removing herself from the forces and pressures that led to her aggressive behavior. Lee puts forth a lot of effort to assist her granddaughter see the suffering she has caused and to find a way to really regret and get well. Living a falsehood is a risky game, because Lee must continuously protect herself from being discovered while upholding the appearance of Luna's death. Her deceit creates a risky game of cat and mouse. Lee has to carefully steer talks about Luna without disclosing the truth, making every encounter with family and friends a potential minefield. Lee experiences a great deal of stress as a result of this ongoing watchfulness, forcing her to repress her innate need to confide in people closest to her. Upholding this lie presents significant logistical hurdles. Lee has to take care of Luna alone, get medical supplies without drawing attention to himself, and make sure their hidden location isn't found. This has to be carefully planned and carried out since any error may reveal the truth and undo all of Lee's hard work. Lee feels a lot of strain from these obligations, which force her to juggle her covert mission with her work obligations. Lee's actions start to show the emotional toll of leading such a complex deception. She struggles to keep up her regular interactions while keeping such a big secret, becoming increasingly reclusive and secretive. Her behavior starts to shift, but her family and friends blame it on their sadness at Luna's passing rather than the fact that she is still alive. The inevitable disclosure that occurs when the truth is revealed. The truth of Luna's survival cannot be kept a secret indefinitely, as is the case with all such deceptions. A powder keg of tension that might blow out at any time is created by the psychological strain on both Lee and Steffi. A big encounter that will change the relationships of the whole family is set up by Steffi's growing conviction that Luna is still alive and Lee's growing inability to keep up the deceit. When it is revealed, the ramifications for all those involved will be profound. Lee's choice to assist a convicted killer in evading prosecution and her medical ethics will be questioned. Steffi will struggle with the confirmation of her suspicions and the fresh danger that Luna's survival poses, while Finn will battle with the realization that his mother has been lying to him about something so basic. It will have an equally significant effect on Luna herself. Her covert survival has offered a chance for introspection and maybe atonement. However, it has also put her in a position where she must cope with the fallout from her actions and the knowledge that her own grandmother felt pressured to stage her own death. This complicated emotional terrain will influence Luna's decisions going forward and decide whether Lee's bet in her granddaughter's capacity for transformation pays out in the end. Significant issues like justice, atonement, and the extent to which family members will go to defend one another are brought up by Lee's choice to stage Luna's death. By using her medical knowledge to assist a confessed killer in avoiding the repercussions of her crimes, she challenges the conventional lines between good and wrong. The complicated nature of familial ties, and the strong links that may influence individuals to make apparently difficult decisions are reflected in this moral ambiguity. Additionally, the plot delves into issues of trauma and mental health as Steffi and Luna struggle with the psychological fallout from violent incidents. Steffi's alleged hallucinations and increasing paranoia serve as a reminder of the long-term effects of trauma on mental health. In the end, the deceit acts as a catalyst for studying the nature of truth and the power of perception, even if Luna's seclusion offers a chance to investigate the causes of her violent behavior and the prospect of rehabilitation. While Lee's complex falsehood shows how readily truth can be twisted by those with the means and expertise to do so, Steffi's conviction about what she has seen calls into question the notion that reality is always clear-cut. These ideas recur throughout the plot, weaving a complicated web of moral nuance and emotional nuance. The tale of Luna's fictitious death and Lee's deceit is a brilliant examination of the extent individuals will go to in order to keep those they care about safe. The characters must deal with the repercussions of their decisions and the intricate web of links that bind them together, even when those acts go against their strongest moral beliefs, since the truth will eventually come to light. At Luna's burial, the empty coffin is a potent metaphor for the futility of dishonesty. However, no matter how much they try to conceal them, certain realities cannot be buried, as Steffi's eerie vision of her ostensibly deceased tormentor serves as a reminder.